Welcome back to the Fish and Coach Show. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner, and today we're talking about why you will never own a car again. Coach, are we throwing our keys away and selling our cars?
Well, I hope it comes to that someday. That's my goal. I mean, it's not my goal, but I think we're heading that direction.
Wow, it feels like we're so far from that.
It does feel. In fact, I saw a video, I think on CNBC, where these guys were talking about, driverless cars, and they're like, one guy said, "We will never in our lifetime see driverless cars on the road," and the other guy's like, "There already are delivery cars that are driverless."
Wow.
So you have to understand, I'm very big into like efficiencies. What is inefficient in this world? How can we make it more efficient? How can we make something more efficient? We can get an idea from like Southwest Airlines. You know Southwest? You're flying them?
Yeah, they're great.
One of their things they do why they are able to make money when most airlines can't is that they figured out that if their plane is on the ground, they're losing money. So they, with efficiency, have trained their staff to turn the planes around as fast as possible. So they're always flying in the air. In fact, Southwest is one of the few airlines that has flights at 5 a.m. and they land at 1:30 in the morning, like red eye from
Wow.
LA. Yeah, because they're always flying in the air. So if you think about your car, you buy this car for whatever it costs nowadays, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and
right.
then you buy insurance for your car to drive. I mean, that insurance, by the way, works for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And most of us are not driving.
How
that
often do you drive your car? When you were driving your car in back in Maryland, how often were you driving it?
I worked from home.
Okay.
It wasn't very often.
Well, most
maybe
of us
to
are-
get to the grocery store.
Right. Most of us now are working from home now, or we want to live close to our jobs. Most people probably drive their cars only a few hours a day, yet they're paying for it 24/7.
Wow.
And go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, it seems like cars are the most efficient way to get from point A to point B in terms of time saving. This is what I would have thought before we talked and prepared this podcast, because it gets you exactly where you want to go as soon as you want to go.
It does, and it's nice to have your own car, and we're used to it. But the thing is, let's go back to this efficiency. When I had a house in Maryland, I built this beautiful house with a 3-car garage. My garage, land in where I'm living, cost about $1.2, $1.3 million for like just a half-acre lot. That's a big lot, obviously.
Right.
You can have smaller lots, but that neighborhood was big lots. And I built a big 3-car garage. I don't know what the land cost me, $50,000, and then I have to build footers and concrete and drywall and a roof and electricity and garage doors, and mine had some windows.
Right. And how many square feet is that garage?
Well, I don't know what it's square feet, but the point is,
takes up a lot
it
of
probably
space.
cost like $100,000 to build a garage for my car. It's not like it's a cow that you want to protect in the snow and the wind and the rain. It's a car. I mean, it's not. It doesn't really have to have a garage.
It seems like you'd want to protect it from the
It's
snow
nice.
and the rain.
Believe me, it's a great pleasure to walk out and not have to clear snow off your car.
It's a wonderful
But
thing.
I only drove a few hours a day,
Right.
so it's a complete inefficiency. So what is the idea that we'll never own a car again?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So you have to get your mind around the fact what a car looks like. You think of a car with a dashboard and a steering wheel and 4 doors. Think of it differently.
Okay.
Think of a car that's like a pod, like this. Maybe it could be circular, maybe 1 door, no dashboard, no steering wheel. And what's going to happen is we're going to be able to sign up for a service.
You're describing a living room on wheels.
I am. And the cheapest service will be like a little 1-seater. It
Sure.
costs, I'm not going to make numbers up, I don't even know. And the most expensive service will be like this living room on wheels with a flat screen TV and a bar and a massage. Maybe even someone will have a massage therapist on the board.
So we're saying the back of a limousine without the driver.
Without the driver, but set up to be like a living room. And what you're going to do is you're going to call your car. It's like Uber now, except every car is going to be driverless. There'll be no drivers.
Comes on demand. You'll just have a bunch of ghost cars on the streets.
Right, ghost cars on the street, and you'll call it, and it's going to know where you're going because you're entering the destination, and it's going to take you there. You will have to understand there's going to be no more traffic.
Wow, how cool is that? Can you
No
imagine?
more
Wow.
traffic. Do you know why?
Why?
Well, think about it now. If you're sitting at a stoplight and you're the 10th car at the light, what happens when the light turns green?
Move up a little bit.
Well,
After the cars before you start
takes
moving.
how long?
and
How long does that
before them
take?
start moving, yeah.
How long does that take?
I've missed a few lights because of it.
Right, you don't even get to the light. But when every car has software that's talking, every car is talking to each other. So a car that's in Great Neck, New York is going to know where a car in Staten Island is going. They're all going to know where they're going.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know, because one of these guys I was talking to, a buddy of mine, he was like, well, everyone's going to lose their jobs, all these car places and the gas stations. I mean, yeah, but there's going to be like tens of thousands of software engineers developing the code for this. So, yes, we're going to lose jobs, but jobs will switch to something else. It's always the case.
The jobs will pivot, as they always have.
Right.
There will be
I mean,
jobs.
we already know that gasoline, I mean, think about it. If you had said 30 years ago there'll be electric cars, like, no way, we got to have gas cars, combustion engines. But now everything's going to electric. And it's going to move into driverless. We already have the technology.
So now you're going to have electric charging ports that are kind of garage hubs for all of these self-driving cars.
So what's going to happen is, like, every city garage that you have right now will become the hotel for cars at night.
Wow.
And, like,
maybe you can even open up your garage to house one of these cars.
No, because your car is you're gonna turn your garage into like a rental, an Airbnb.
Oh.
Right? That's gonna happen. You're gonna take
That's
your
great.
garage
Right.
and turn it to Airbnb, and suddenly you're gonna have. And I always try to think about ways to make money off this. And we're gonna get into this in a little bit, but your garage will become like an Airbnb. The city garage become the hotels at night for the cars to go to get plugged in, serviced, cleaned, disinfected nowadays, right?
That's true.
Disinfected, or
That's
maybe it
gonna
goes
be
back
important.
2 or 3 times a day, whatever it is, how much use it gets. That's all. Like I like to say, minutia. That'll be figured out,
Right.
and there'll be a city that will be the first one to do this, and I believe it'll be a city either like in the Pacific Northwest or California, maybe even Israel. It'll be like a city that's small enough to handle this, but has enough traffic that they're going to have an incentive to want to do this. And what's going to happen is, if you want to own your car, you can have your car. You'll just have to keep it parked outside the city.
Wow. They're not even going to let you have your car.
No, you can have a car. So if you want to drive until this thing becomes national. So if you want to drive from, let's say, this small city to L.A. or San Francisco, you'll get a ride to your car or whatever, or it'll be a driverless bus, and you get your car and you go on your way.
So if you're going to a ski mountain, for example, the ride-hailing service will drive you to your car, which is outside of the city, and you drive that to the mountains. Or
but
here's
the crazy thing. Do you remember during Corona when, I think it was Tokyo or a city in Japan, they showed the picture of the smog after Corona when no one was on the road, what that city looked like?
Oh, wow.
It was a city in China, I believe. It was completely clear. There was no pollution. In fact, there's articles out now how, like, some cities, they can't even live in these cities anymore. There's so much pollution. There's going to be no more pollution because there's no more cars.
They'll be electric.
They're all going to be electric. No traffic because every car is going to know where the other car is going. The only reason you'll need lights is for pedestrians, which, again, that can be solved. Maybe it's going to be all, overhead or under. They have
wow, the
tunnels.
cars won't even have lights. That's wild. Yeah. And they'll be able to drive closer together. So
yeah,
traffic
because
will be reduced,
no more. Like
reduced.
right now, was it 2 seconds right now in driving?
I think I learned 2.5.
Whatever it is,
when I had my driver's test.
and no one does that, by the way. Especially if you're driving on the Beltway in D.C., everyone's like right next to each other.
Yeah.
You'll have no more deaths. Now there are going to be accidents, there'll be mistakes, but it's just like planes were. If you go back in the 60s and 70s, there's many more accidents than there are now. Now it's like there's no accidents. It's because as time goes on, you improve on your technology, and they're going to improve in the way that these cars go. So I just imagine if I worked in downtown D.C. and normally you have to give yourself an hour and a half to get there from, let's say, the suburbs. Now, if it's a 20-minute drive and you have to be there at 7:30,
it'll take you 20 minutes.
you'll leave at 7:09 because you need a minute to walk up to your office. You leave at 7:09, you're there at 7:30.
So you schedule that car at 7 o'clock. The car shows up at 7:09, and you're in your office at 7:30.
No, you schedule the day before. It's there waiting for you. You can schedule in advance. You can have a car waiting outside your house every single day.
Every single day.
At 7 o'clock.
You have your
Automated.
kids on one of their cars. You have you go on your car.
I know parents will say, I'm never putting my kids in that car. Your kid's way safer in that car than you driving to school because, first of all, there's going to be no accidents. The car will stay locked until the kids get to the school, and you'll be able to see your kids on the camera.
Oh, of course. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're with them the whole way.
Can you imagine driving in New York and Manhattan with no traffic?
No.
Or LA? Can you imagine LA, the 405 or the 5 with no traffic?
It's amazing. It's
going to be life changing.
And Coach, here's another thought, another angle to this. Since I'm coming from the hospitality background, my cousin once was very into this idea, and he was telling me that he's imagining a future where you rent a hotel room that's a car. So let's say you have to go to New Orleans, and let's say you're in Jacksonville, Florida. You get one of these cars, and it's got a bed, You wake up the next day, you got a nice, comfortable night's sleep, and you're in New Orleans.
This is when you start thinking. That is brilliant. So this is like Airbnb for cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the potential is completely
It is. And by the way, you could even have like, what do they call those, the big houses on wheels? What are they? Oh,
yeah. You could have a trailer home.
The trailer home.
Bigger,
You can rent a trailer home. It drives for you, and you have a bed. You can have dinner in your trailer home. You're not driving, and it's amazing that you could actually, from now, cars can be a way you instead of flying, you just take a car because you're not driving anymore.
Wow. Think about that. Think about what a road trip would look like with this reality. You rent an Airbnb bus, and you live on that tour bus, and you sleep, but there's no driver. You're not paying the driver, and you wake up and you see the country.
That is just amazing.
As a guest.
That is amazing. And I know people say, you know what, I'm so used to driving. I like having my own car. I like putting my groceries in my car. I like having my own music. Well, forget about music. We don't have CDs anymore.
No, you put your Spotify.
You buy it. It's going to know. Your car is going to have your music because your car is going to know.
You put on the Fish and Coach show at home. You say, I want to listen to the Fish and Coach show on Spotify. You get in the car and it's already playing.
You can watch the Fish and Coach show on the way to the grocery store because our podcasts are not so long. You can do it in the grocery store.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah,
and it does it for you.
So people like I like being self-sufficient. I like doing but you know what? People's attitudes will change. Like, how many people in New York City own a car?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Very few.
Small.
Very few people because they're used to it. And as time goes on, as the older generation gets older,
right.
that they're gonna more people are like, I don't want to own a car. Why would I want to own a car when I can not take it in for service, not have to pay insurance, not have to get gas, not have to build a garage for my car, not have to and suddenly. Everything changes in the world.
Wow.
Let me tell you one thing that's going to change.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about a mall.
Yeah.
Think about an office building, right? I bought an office building in Bethesda, Maryland, and one of the reasons I bought it because it has 60 parking spots. It's a small medical building with like 11 units, has 60 parking spots, which is a lot of parking for it. But it's like it might be an acre, or 3/4 of an acre of land that's sitting there. With blacktop on it and lines so cars can park. What's going to happen when there's no more cars, you don't have your own car anymore, that can be redeveloped into more office space or housing, and now all you need is a drop-off point for every car to drop you off.
Wow.
Think about malls. You can't drive to a mall. You take your car to the mall, it drops you off. Those parking lots
right in the front.
Right, you can develop a mall into like whatever you want to now because you don't have to have parking.
So you have more. There's room for a lot more.
There's a room for so many more things. The world's going to change, and you're going to have no deaths from automobile accidents, which is the most dangerous way to travel right now. You're going to have no pollution, so we'll live longer lives because we won't have the smog from the cars. You'll have a lot less stress, and you can actually probably live in more locations because now there's no traffic. The reason why people don't want to live, let's say, in the Hamptons and they work in New York, unless they fly a helicopter, it's just a long commute. But now there's no more traffic. Right. And you don't have to drive. You can actually work in your car if you have the highest service and you have like a little, you can get a desk. That can be an office pod.
Yeah, you're already at work. You just get in that car and you're already at work.
And this is possible. This is certainly, and think about the police. How much police you have, police in these cars? With speed traps and tolls.
First of all, you're eliminating drunk driving. You're eliminating all kinds of serious hazards. And not that we would advocate like getting drunk often, but.
Oh, there'll be a party. There'll be a party car. There'll be a party car with a keg and liquor and shots and a beer bong, whatever. There's going to be all sorts of cars you can rent.
Wow.
And you don't have to sign up for that one thing. You rent it. Hey, one time I'm going to rent, and someone said to me, he goes, well, what if you're late? What happens if the car gets there at 7? You're not down to 7:10. What happens now if you get a cab that you order for 7 o'clock because they're 7? They charge you. They charge you.
The meter's running.
The meter's running. It doesn't matter. You wait as long as you want, as long as you're paying for it.
Wow. It's completely infinite in what this is going to look like.
Unbelievable thinking. If you can think like this, and Tesla, again, people say Tesla will probably be the most valuable company in the world, and I hate to say it, they probably are, although I don't invest in Tesla because I like to make a lot more money on my investments. But I think that's possible. I'm not sure if Tesla's going to be leader. By the way, I just read today that XPeng is one of the companies making driverless cars. They're making a driverless taxi. It's coming.
Wow.
Life's going to change.
Uber has had that in their business model since day one.
Oh yeah. And Uber's great, by the way. Drunk driving has gone down significantly since Uber and Lyft have come to the scene.
That's amazing. Wow.
Because think about when if you're drinking in a bar, right, and you're drunk, and you're like, how do I get a cab? I have to get the bartender, have him call me a cab, or use your cell phone, and you don't know where the cab was. You had no idea what his name was. You didn't know he was coming. The bartender would always say to you, "I'll be here in 20 minutes." 20 minutes. But now, and you're drunk, like, I don't want to do 20 minutes. I'm just drive home myself. But now you just go on your app, you hit it. It's one of the most efficient things that I love Uber and Lyft. I don't invest in them as businesses, but I think they're great.
So, Coach, what do we do for starters now? Are we ready for this?
I'm ready for it. I don't want to drive anymore. I'm certainly ready for it. I think there'll be a city that does it, and I think what's going to happen is that when other cities see how efficient this is and how their life is increased, their standard of living has increased significantly because of no stress, no traffic, no smog. I think that you'll have a lot of cities jumping on board very, very quickly on this. And again, you're going to, like I said before, people that, well, they're not going to, Chicago's not going to do this. You know what? Efficiencies always win out, and politicians that go against Airbnb, the ones that go against Lyft and Uber, eventually they'll get voted out, and you're going to have more progressive, forward-minded thinking people who, and by the way, think about the environment on this.
Yeah, getting electric cars, you're moving the charging ports to the outskirts of the city.
Think about how heavy cars are nowadays. The reason is because safety, and think about what those cars do to the road, that you have to keep rebuilding. In D.C., the bridges are like literally falling apart. They're falling apart, and now with lighter cars, you'll save so much more money on infrastructure.
Wow. Very interesting. One more question is when? Do you have a timeline on this?
I would love to see this in my lifetime. I think it just takes a bold city to be willing to try this. And listen, it's unlikely in my lifetime, but I'm hoping for it.
I wouldn't be surprised
maybe your
if it's
lifetime.
A lot sooner than what you're thinking.
Maybe your lifetime.
All right. Well, there you go. Why you will never own a car again. Get ready for the cities of the future. We have to have more talks like this.
Yeah, I love this. I love talking about this.
What the world can look like, what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
This is going to be exciting. Thank you again for watching the Fish and Coach Show.
See you next time. Thanks for watching the Fish and Coach Show.
If you like what you just watched, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment with any ideas you'd like to see on any future episodes.
We'll see you next time.